I'd like to call to order the November 14th, 2023 regular meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors to order. Our first item of business is our land acknowledgement. Director Mitchell will be reading tonight's land acknowledgement.
We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Coast Salish, Snohomish, and Tulalip peoples. We express our deepest respect and gratitude to the ancestors of this land on whose shoulders we stand. In Everett Public Schools, we strive to create equitable outcomes and build a culture of inclusive belonging for all students, teachers, staff, and community.
Thank you very much, Director Mitchell. For those that are not in uniform, will you please remove your hats and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Will the secretary please call the roll?
President Lesane.
Present.
Vice President Mitchell.
Present.
Director Herman.
Present.
Director Mason.
Present.
Director Revelinsky.
Present.
Student Representative Kink.
Present.
Student Representative Gilbertson. Present.
Our next item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Salzman, would you introduce this evening's agenda?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and the public this evening. Tonight's agenda contains the following. Tonight we'll have a recognition for the October Value Champions. Tonight we'll also be recognizing our National Merit Scholar semifinalists. We'll give the superintendent's report, time for comments from the board and student representatives, time for directors to hear from the community in a public comment section. Tonight we'll have an update about the legislative from our legislative representative. We'll have a section for routine business. Tonight we'll have an update on the technology plan. There'll also be a spotlight on the career-connected learning, presentation on the education specifications for the new Jackson Elementary School replacement project, a board discussion on legislative priorities for the 2024 session, and a preview of the agenda items for upcoming meetings, and then a closed session. Since publishing the agenda, the following change was made to the agenda. Item 9.01, the superintendent's report. The report was updated. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salzman. Is there a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Director Mason and seconded by Director Mitchell to adopt tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Any abstentions? Very well, the motion carries. The agenda is adopted. We will now move to section 6.0, which is recognition of our October core value champions. And I see the presenter is Ms. Reeves. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the second recognition for our core value champions. We started last month having schools nominate students who exemplify a core value of the district, and September was respect. In October, we're recognizing tonight, it is learning. And next month, and we'll be recognizing November, which is equity. If you go to the district website and you look under district and click on celebrations, you can see a list of names of all the students who were nominated for each of these core values. But we have three principals here tonight who will be introducing their students. The first will be Bruce Rhodes from Cedarwood Elementary, and then Darren Larima from Jackson Elementary, and Lance Balla from Jackson High School. And for the families in the room, we will have a chance for you to get some photos at the end. So be prepared for that. So first up, we will have Bruce Rhodes.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Salzman. I appreciate this opportunity to be able to share some on the Cora, who is our learner for this core value. She's a positive role model in her classroom, this is the Lao says, and she sets goals for herself and her learning and then maps out a pathway and how to achieve her goals. She is dependable and she is willing to work with other students to learn and to share her thinking. When she doesn't understand, she is willing to ask the questions to help her clarify and to strengthen her understanding. She is always actively engaged in learning through listening, reflecting, goal setting, and questioning. And I'm really proud of this young lady for all of her learning and all of her contributions to Cedarwood over the years. Congratulations.
Good evening, Board of Directors and Dr. Saltzman. I am so delighted to be able to present to you Jordan Reese, who is our core value champion for learning for the month of October at Jackson Elementary. At Jackson Elementary, we have 4 school-wide expectations that we believe that when students share, they're going to make great strides at our building. They're to be safe, to be kind, to be in the right place, and to be ready to learn. And Jordan is really exemplary at modeling those characteristics, and it's allowed her to become such a proficient learner. Her teacher shared that Jordan comes in every morning with a positive attitude. She's ready to learn and to try her best. She stays engaged all throughout the day and contributes thoughtful comments to class conversations. Jordan works well with every student and is a great example to others. And I asked Jordan, what do you love learning at Jackson right now? And she said she's really into the math, and she really loves, they're learning multiplication in 3rd grade. She's really enjoying learning that. And she loves the work, because I said, what do you love about learning math right now? She's like, I like digging into the workbook. I like working out the problems and talking to my classmates and peers. So we're so proud of Jordan. She is modeling our school-wide expectations, and she's making great growth. So thank you, Jordan, so much.
Good evening, Board of Directors and Dr. Saltzman. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our core value champion for learning, Ms. Alice Fu. We'll just read what's written, and then I have one other comment. Alice Fu is a learner in so many ways. Not only is she a National Merit Scholar semifinalist, spoiler alert, she gets up here twice today, but she has taken most, if not all, of the most rigorous courses offered at JHS. More than that, she has a genuine curiosity and an interest in knowledge that drives her to ask questions and seek answers. But the one thing I'm a little concerned about with Alice is I think she doesn't know the full alphabet. I think her alphabet stops at A, because that's all she has on her transcript from 4 years at high school. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you our learning core value champion, Alice Fu. Yeah, where would you?
Come this way. Come this way. Congratulations.
We'll take one without parents, and then we'll take one with parents.
Okay, I can't see Director Lassane. Can you move that way just a tad?
Got a tall student here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, any other parents need pictures? All right, there's one over there. We're all good?
Yeah, come on up, come on up, come up to center, Dad. Come on.
No pressure.
No hard.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much.
Congratulations.
Jordan. Recognitions are so valuable to our district, and the next recognition that we have is going to be the National Merit Scholar semifinalists. And I see Mr. Fleckenstein is at the podium. Go for it.
Well, good evening, President Lassane, Board of Directors, and Dr. Saltzman. Aside from Mr. Balla's spoiler alert earlier, tonight we recognize 6 outstanding seniors from Henry M. Jackson High School who have been named as National Merit Scholarship semifinalists. The National Merit Scholarship Program is a competition to recognize student achievement and consideration for university scholarships administered by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. Over 1.3 million juniors in about 21,000 high schools across our nation entered the National Merit Scholarship Program. Semifinalists represent less than 1% of the United States high school seniors who achieved the highest scores on the 2022 PSAT test. Nationwide, 16,000 students qualified as National Merit semifinalists. To introduce and recognize the accomplishments of these outstanding students is the principal of Henry M. Jackson High School, Mr. Lance Balla.
Very glad I wore a tie. Do I invite them all up at the same, okay. Thank you for that cue. I would like to invite the following students up to be recognized. Tiger Sun, Kovid Singh, Jalen O, Stephanie Lee, Alice Fu, and Raul Bantu. If you could all please come up. While we have lots of students to recognize, 6 is a very large and impressive number from our school. And these students represent hours and hours of intentional and thoughtful and often hard, long nights of studying. Anyone here pull an all-nighter studying for a test? Not yet? All right, that's good. Give it college. But Larry Fleckenstein said that it's less than 1%. It's actually less than 0.5% of the students in this fine country achieve this recognition. So that's pretty spectacular for all these students. We want to recognize their excellence. But I have one question. It's a pop quiz, okay?
Pop quiz, uh-oh.
All right, because I want to feel smart. Can any of you tell me Cookie Monster's actual name? Audience members? It's Sid. Just as a little FYI, it's Sid, and I knew one thing and only one thing that these students did not know. I promise you. So again, congratulations to you all, and we're going to come up here for pictures.
Some tall students.
There we are. Oh, look at that. You did really well. All right.
Versus
1, 2, 3. Any parents want pictures? We got one. Go ahead. It's okay.
Slow cameras, slow cameras. Everybody back, slow cameras. It's all good. Oh, hold on. We got more cameras. Proud parents. Yep, come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. Yeah, okay. Yeah, my husband doesn't share pictures. One more. Okay.
We'll now move to section 7.0, which is our superintendent's report. Dr. Saltzman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board Directors, and to the public this evening. First of all, can we give one more round of applause to all the amazing students that were called up And to Mr. Bala, thank you for that quiz tonight, because I did not know that question that was Sid. I'd like to please join us all in congratulating Jen Herman and Charles Atkins, our newly elected board members. Like to congratulate again the entire district on our SBA scores again, how we outperform the state in every grade and content area. Kudos to entire Everett School District community and family. Thank you for that great work. I don't know if you knew this, but our Silver Lake teacher, Miss Moore at Silver Lake Elementary, was honored as the premier hero into the classroom last week. What made it really special was she was at the Seahawk game, given 2 tickets, and was honored by the Seattle Seahawks at Silver Lake Elementary School. What a great turnout and a great honor by her students. Congratulations, Mrs. Moore. And her students said she cares. And what a great thing to hear from our students. So thank you. Well, this morning it was 27 degrees, and I was just hoping that it wasn't going to rain. And I'm sorry you're not ready for snow. But I want you to know that our transportation and our maintenance services team are well prepared to our community to let you know they are well ready when the weather does come our way in February, we hope. I encourage all parents and guardians to make sure that you have updated information from your school, and also on our webpage. We'll continue having those information updated to you, okay? This week are parent-teacher conferences for all elementary and middle school students. And I just want to remind our community and our parents, a great way to meet the teachers and talk about the progress of your students. Please try to attend the best you can, and to our teachers and staff that are having those conferences, thank you for taking the time to care for our students. Our schools will be on holiday vacation, Thanksgiving and Native American Heritage Day next week. And I want to take this time to wish everybody a safe and happy and healthy Thanksgiving break. Please spend time with your family, a lot to be thankful for. And it's a great time to reconnect with others during that time and to be thankful for everything that we have. So I want to wish everybody a fantastic holiday. Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the board.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saltzman. We'll now move to section 8.0, which is our board and student representative comments. At this particular point in our agenda, we allow our directors and their student representatives to have the opportunity to share what they have encountered through their work in the district and in schools, as well as the community. And I'm asking that hopefully we can keep our comments brief. Director Mitchell, would you like to start?
Yes, and I will be brief. First, I would like to, because I missed the last meeting, congratulate Director Rowanlitsky on your appointment. And then congratulate Director Herman and then Mr. Adkins. We look forward to seeing you at WASDA this coming weekend. I would like to thank the CTE students and then the staff that brought in the food for them. It's quite delicious. The rest of the directors might be able to partake of it later. And I have been at 3 different IRs, Penny Creek, Emerson, and Tambart Creek, where it was really nice to see ruler in place at most of the classrooms, or knowing that it was in use even though I couldn't see it. I saw a real culture of helpers at one school, a real culture of mistakes are okay at another school, and that in an Emerson, that Spanish immersion is into in 2nd grade, and they were studying butterflies, where people smart differently than me will know what that is in Spanish, but I did not know that day. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Mitchell. Director Herman.
Great, thank you. First of all, a big thank you to voters for giving me another 2 years of work on this school board. Being a part of this Everett team is very much a privilege that I do not take for granted. Hats off to Cascade seniors James Larson and Sukhman Takar, who spoke with Governor Inslee in a live student-led Q&A last month, and this was shared on TVW. Their questions were around affirmative action and equitable access to higher education in Washington's policies on fossil fuels and the impact nationwide. They did fantastic. And it was a reminder of the great student leaders and student civic engagement that we have here in Everett. Thanks also to Melissa Webster, the AP US Government and Politics teacher at Cascade, that helped make that happen. I also want to give a shout out to one of our community partners. I was able to visit the Assistance League of Everett last week and hear and see about Operation School Bell. Many of our school counselors work with volunteers at Operation School Bell to match students in need with new clothes, including shoes, coats, hygiene kit. So to all the Assistance League volunteers, donors, and our school counselors that together help connect our students with new clothes, I just want to say a big thank you. And then lastly, Veterans Day. I was able to attend the Veterans Day Assembly at Jackson Elementary School, where they recognized veterans from the families and students and staff, and it was really well done. So to thank you to all the veterans out there for serving our country, including the Navy veterans we have up here on the dais. And thank you to our schools and student groups for really doing a really nice job in honoring their service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Herman. Director Mason, would you like
Thank you.
opportunity to speak?
Yes, I have a couple things I would like to comment on. First, I think the best thing I've done since our last meeting was I got to attend a Veterans Day Assembly too at Silver Firs Elementary, and it was just so unbelievable. I think the thing that is just so powerful to me is to watch those, especially fifth grade leaders, get up in front of their classmates and basically run the whole show, and just watch that development as they take on presenting themselves. And then of course the singing, and I actually learned a little bit. It's been a while since I've had my Veterans Day history. So really enjoyed it. The students were amazing too. They were just so calm. I've never seen 500 kids just sit so calmly in an auditorium like that. It was wonderful. Along with Director Herman, we had an opportunity to meet with a couple directors from Snohomish, and we talked about sustainability. They're interested in getting underway and moving forward, and actually look to us for some thoughts on that. But really, more importantly, what I love is the collaboration across districts. We have so many neighbors doing so many similar things that we're trying to accomplish as directors, and to be able to bounce ideas, share ideas is really important. And for those that don't know, we are, and it was referenced here, but we're attending the Washington State School Directors Association annual conference this weekend, and it's an opportunity for directors to go to a whole bunch of breakout sessions on different topics, really learn the latest of what's going on, best practices for directors. And I always really appreciate that time, both the learning, as we presented tonight, we get our own, but also time to collaborate with my fellow directors, which we often don't get to do because we sit on the dais often together. That's kind of, and then did a couple, also attended the IRs at Emerson Elementary, my first real exposure to the Spanish immersion program. I'm looking forward to starting a second one, just very impressive. And then Evergreen Middle School, and just looking at the data that they shared on their culture and how impressively that is changing year over year. And that just really warms my heart. It's a former school where my children attended. So yeah, I think that covers everything. I think all the congratulations with the new directors has been covered, but welcome everyone.
Very much, Director Mason. Director Revelinsky, would you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, thank you.
Student Representative King, any comments for you?
Yeah, hey everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Charles Atkins and Jen Herman for winning your guys' elections. Looking forward to working with you guys in the future. Recently, our school had a Veterans Day Assembly, which featured music from our choir, band, and orchestra, along with speeches from veterans in the school, honoring all those who served. And earlier today, myself, ASB, and other leaders from Jackson attended Interhigh, which is sort of a conference between ASBs and Wesco, and it was a really good opportunity for us to collaborate with other schools and plan for the year ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Student Rep King. Student Rep Gilbertson.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the conferences on Saturday in WASDA, as well as the student dinner on Thursday, just being able to hear from other people while we're there. Everett High has their food drive going on right now, which I have seen some of the classrooms and how much food is there, and it is amazing just to see. Like, it kind of builds more of a community through the classrooms, because like just all the students in it for the competition part of it. And congratulations, Jen, again for getting back on the school board. And then thankful for the Wednesday we have before Thanksgiving, and being able to have that extra day to go see family, just extra time. I also wanted to thank you, Miss Lassane, for being our president for so long on the school board, as well as I wanted to mention, I was talking to one of our career counselors at Everett High who handles our snow aisle applications, and there has been double the amount of students that applied this year for snow aisle, just showing like this need for hands-on learning from students this year, as well as trying to think of the words here, sorry. To all the educational support professionals out here tonight, I really hope you guys are able to get through what you need. Thank you.
I would like to say that I had the opportunity to attend another IR this day, in fact, at Cascade High School. And what really opened my eyes was that in the ruler training, a sense of belonging truly does matter. And building relationship truly does matter with students. And I have seen at Cascade High, as well as Eisenhower and at Woodside, disciplinary actions have decreased as a result of the ruler focus and curriculum focus. And I think we will see that going down even further as we progress. So I was very, very happy to see that. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the Veterans Day Assembly at Woodside Elementary, and I can say that these were second graders that put on the assembly. They did an outstanding job, and I can truly say it was one of the best Veterans Day assemblies that I have attended here. So I truly appreciate all that these second graders did for veterans. And they even had parents and grandparents that were in the audience that came up to say what they did when they were in active duty. So that was very nice. Last month's focus on our core values was respect. And we had many students that displayed that value. It's fitting that this particular month is on learning. And our students here are modeling it in an exceptional way. And I could see that. I could truly see that as I went out into the IRs at Cascade and at Woodside. The focus is on learning this year. And so I would just like to say congratulations to all of our October core values champions. They've taken it to another level, and I hope that they can take it out into the community so that others can absorb and learn also from them. I would also like to congratulate the National Merit Scholar semifinalists. Outstanding job, and I think they've left. Oh, but I do want to make sure that they get that word back, that the board is very appreciative to all their hard work that they put in. And I'm sure some of them, even though they didn't say, had a lot of sleepless nights as a result of getting prepared for those exams. So I appreciate all their work. We'll now move to section 9.0, which is our public comment section. The school board specifically sets aside time during the regular board meeting to hear from our constituents. We do this because we value public input and we want to hear and understand your perspectives you bring to the table. All comments will be recorded, so the board will have access to everything that is said tonight. Repetition is not necessary, and it cuts into the time others have to speak. Public comments are a part of the agenda, is for the board to listen. We want to make sure that we listen to what you have to say. It's not for us to debate or discuss the items, and board members will not respond to individual comments. So please, as board president, I have the responsibility to ensure that the meeting and all conversations and business actions are orderly, productive, and respectful. Thank you for helping me with that responsibility. We will call members up to the podium for speaking in the order in which your application, your public comment card was submitted. Please remember that repetition is not necessary. It will cut into other people's time if we run out of time. We are limited to, or we've set aside rather 15 minutes of this agenda for public comments. So at that point in time, we will cut the time to a close. So please try and limit your conversations or your speeches to just your 3 minutes that you have. And if you cut it short, another person will have the opportunity to speak also. So that being said, the first person up, and I'm going to put my timer on so I make sure we have ample time, is a paraeducator. She's an employee of the district at North Middle School. It's Marie Cave, or she's here for talking about paraeducator pay. Have 3 minutes to speak. The blips on the podium indicate your time. The green light indicates you have 3 minutes. Once the orange light comes on, you have 30 seconds. And when the red light comes on, your time is over. So please keep that in mind.
Yes,
Go right
ma'am.
ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I want to open with some comments that my fellow paras have made. If I didn't love the kids and my amazing coworkers so much, I would have left my para job a long time ago. However, with retirement just a few years away, I may have to make some difficult decisions. I work 3 jobs and I'm still drowning. And the final one, I would love to feel valued and respected in my paycheck. We always hear how paras are the backbone of our schools, and yet for 17 years, I've lived paycheck to paycheck. Good evening, my name is Marie Rusenberger Cave, and I am the ML para at North Middle School, and I've been at North for 10 years. And I think paras are the shiny spine of our schools. At North, our SPED and Achieve paras respond to the most egregious and outrageous student behavior with compassion and patience. Supervision paras maintain order during breakfast, lunch, recess, and after school. It's kind of like a lot like herding cats. For me, I keep North in federal and state compliance, as well as supporting my ML students in sheltered instruction and mainstream classes. Yet for all of our training and skills, the district treats us like glorified babysitters. Anyone can do our jobs. They bring in contract paras who have no vested interest in the success of our students. Most of them they don't even stay long enough to learn the students' names. I think that is ineffectual and not in the best interest of our students. The district's refusal to pay paraeducators a competitive living wage is driving out the best of us because we cannot afford to do the work we love. It is unconscionable that a lot of us have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. How can we give our best to the students if we are stressed, worried, and exhausted? I choose to do this work. I love what I do. The students and staff at North are very important to me, and they deserve my best. If you truly think our students matter, then you must pay more than lip service to the district's mission statement. You must see that paying paraeducators a competitive living wage speaks directly to the mission of Everett School District. We're not glorified babysitters. We are trained professionals who deserve respect. That respect needs to manifest itself in a well-deserved and desperately needed wage increase. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Bergstrom. She's an employee of the district at Monroe, and she has students also involved in enrolled in at Monroe and Eisenhower. Ms. Bergstrom.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Bergstrom, and I'm a SPED para at Monroe Elementary. I'm a single mom with 2 boys going to school in this district, a 5th grader at Monroe and a 6th grader at Eisenhower. This is my 6th year as a sped para in the district. I absolutely love my job. Even though I'm bit, scratched, kicked, had my hair pulled out, spit on more times than I can count, and I've gotten lice twice just this year. I keep showing up for the kids who so desperately need my consistency, high expectations, and follow through because they've never had anyone care enough about them to do the hard work. I get called every 4-letter word in the book and things thrown at me. It's a hard job. I go home mentally and emotionally drained, but it's worth it for the growth that I see in my students. The district will lose its most dedicated paras if they don't figure out how to pay us what we are worth. Any SPED teacher will tell you that they cannot do their job without us. We are vital to student success. Being a para does not pay me a living wage. My entire paycheck goes to rent, and I am not living in a luxurious house or apartment. It's just a basic 2-bedroom apartment. Every single month, it's a juggling act of what I can afford and what will have to wait. I am constantly going without so that my boys have what they need. It is not sustainable. There have been at least around 50 para jobs unfilled for over a year. You cannot fill them because the pay is too low. You can go to a surrounding district and make more money, so why would anyone choose to work in Everett? And when you cannot hire anyone, you contract the jobs out to an agency where you end up paying out way more money than what I make. That does not make any sense. You are throwing away money. Pay paras more and you would have people applying for the jobs and wanting to stay in this district. The district is constantly talking about equity, yet it is not willing to do anything about the inequity within how the employees are valued. Our teachers are the highest paid in the state, but paras are the lowest in the surrounding districts. You pride yourself on having the highest paid teachers in the state, but you should be have pride with having the highest paid teachers and paras. It's time for the district to finally treat paras as the valuable people we are and pay us what we deserve. You say we are valuable, but actions speak louder than words. I will be waiting to see how you value us by your actions.
Benjamin Hall. He's an employee of the district at the maintenance building warehouse. Benjamin Hall. Again, the blip on the podium will indicate your time is 3 minutes. The orange blip will indicate 30 seconds. And once the red one comes in, that indicates your time is up. Thank you. Go right ahead.
All right, good evening. My name is Benjamin Hall, and I've been with the district for almost 7 years, working as warehouse and floating custodian. The service we provide is very important to the district, as well as the students and buildings we service. In warehouse, we help move the necessary items based on the needs of the staff, teachers, and students during the year. During the summer, we help move machinery for repairs, cleaning, curriculum books and supplies, science kits, food, surplus of all types, and we also help with the IT moves and distributing PPE to schools. Additionally, we ensure items needed for graduation and other big events for schools, including sporting events, concerts, testing, are delivered or picked up as needed. During the school year, I mostly cover for head custodians throughout the district due to the lack of coverage for head custodians. To do all of these jobs, knowledge, patience, and ability to troubleshoot is needed. Over the past 3 years, there's been an added demand on cleaning due to the fight against COVID. I've noticed a trend every year since of staff reduction. However, the demand is increasing, which is putting more on everyone's plates. To add to this issue, the price of all items and services has risen as well. We all expect to make a living wage. Being concerned for financial stability while the cost of basic needs is a bad feeling when the employer is not wanting to help. Most of us are barely getting by these days. All we ask is for our pay to reflect our importance to the district and the community we serve. It's hard to have pride in working for the Everett School District if you're feeling like you're not getting paid a decent wage and not able to afford to live within the community you serve, when other districts compensate fairly. And then also, as an African American male, not being able to celebrate Juneteenth is a huge personal issue to me. Because of what we are celebrating, it's hard to understand why we are not off of work. It's a federal and a state holiday now, and it's 3 days or so before the end of school. We work year round, and it would be nice to recharge for one day to end the school year strong and work for the rest of the summer. Thank you guys for this time to speak.
The next speaker is Jordan Arthur. Jordan Arthur is an employee of the district at Whittier Elementary. Again, the blips will indicate green, your time is 3 minutes. Orange will come in at 30 seconds remaining, and red will indicate your time is up. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Students, parents, people present and at home, we're the lifeblood of education. We turn the lights on before the sun comes up, perfume our hallways with blooming flowers outside campus and simmering deliciousness within. We are sparkling services, warm welcomes, and the wiring that keeps us all together. SEI, you do that. More and no one, and stuff that people don't see. I would ask us to clap for them, but around here verbalization seems to be more important than action. Times are tough. You remember being essential through global sickness that strangled our planet? We remember the opportunity our surviving members received, being overworked with ambiguous health standards in constant flux, being emptied of our sick leave and vacation time from the same virus we were praised for fighting. And most of all, we remember those flappy leather keychains. We were COVID heroes. All except for a potential photo op. Our broken bodies are worth 1/5 of a person, 1/15th. Us 15th persons, because cuts and mass staff exodus regularly doing the job of at least 2 people. We are forced to miss breaks. We are forced to skip lunches. We always end up staying late, and we are done begging for dignity. Last time we were here, the board emphasized students are watching. So kids, we demand more than below survival wages to feed and clothe you. We demand district respect. Repeatedly offering pennies on the dollar is spitting in the face of anyone and everyone in this room not in a suit. We demand on the day you replace us, those suits can look you in the eye and say they really thought of you as a priority outcome beyond your ability to provide them test scores. SEI, without you, this district stops. SEI, your next actions together decide the quality of life for the students that will take our place. SEI, you should know we are not done. You have so much power, and like they said, students are watching. Thank you.
We have enough for just one more speaker, Matt Bowers, an employee of the district here at the CRC. Matt Bowers. This will be our last speaker opportunity.
Hi, I'm Mac Bauer, and I'm an information systems technician with Everett Public Schools. In 2021, I made a risky move for my family and took a pay cut to come here and establish my career. I was excited and optimistic and was certain that a little pain would pay off for us. I love my job and I work with an incredible group of people that I'm happy to see every day. Unfortunately, that little financial pain has deepened as the value of my wages has fallen compared to the cost of living in this area. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the value of my wage 2 years into this job is worth 6% less than my wage when I started. I don't think anyone here would be surprised to learn that none of my bills have gone down. My mortgage is up 11%. My insurance is up 40%. My city utilities are up 20%. I'll spare you the details of my grocery budget. I was excited at the start of the year to represent my team and my union at the bargaining table. However, in July, I had to take on a second job when the reality of my situation set in. My family car needed a $4,000 repair, new tires, and it was time to renew my insurance for the year. Somehow this all needed to happen while we end every month with $0, despite the fact that I'm at the top of the pay scale for SEIU employees. With no end to bargaining in sight, I had to give up my spot at the table to get back what little time I could, because now I work 65 hours a week. I work 6 days a week. I barely see my wife, who never gets a break in my absence, as you can see. I barely see my kids. For 3 days straight, I go to work before they wake up and come home after bedtime. It's painfully obvious that this is also a struggle for them. Despite the additional income, the family car still hasn't been repaired. Neither has my 40-year-old truck, which had a brake failure in September. I'll have to pull out my retirement funds to get these fixed. And the only way that I can even get to my 2 jobs is that my teammate, Sarah Scott's incredibly generous family gifted me their older car when we had no other options. Needless to say, I am exhausted and I'm disappointed, and my situation is not unique. While the dedicated and hardworking SEIU members continue to keep the school's technology running, the buildings clean, the children fed, and more, the district has offered us scraps at the bargaining table. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the initial financial proposals were insulting. Months in, we haven't seen an offer that would even restore us to the value of our previous contract's wages, yet we're being asked for more flexibility and to take on more work, often from higher paid positions, to band-aid the results of layoffs and jobs left unfilled. If the district's solution to budget issues is to devalue our labor while asking for more, then the district should not be surprised if we decide to take our labor elsewhere. Thank you.
The comments you will be hearing from us via snail mail, I guess you would say, snail mail. We will now be moving to our next item of business, which is section 10.0, which is our legislative updates. You are welcome to stay to hear the remaining parts of the meeting. Director Herman.
Great, thank you.
Go right ahead.
Later on in our meeting tonight, we will be discussing our 2024 legislative priorities. So we'll have more discussion at that time. So I will keep this brief. But one thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that in the elections around the state last week on November 7th, several school districts were running school capital bonds. And at the time of Thursday's WASDA call, at that time, we had heard that all the school construction bonds were failing. In other words, not reaching the 60% supermajority needed. Some were close to, some were in the high 50s, some low 50s, and some not even close. I was just looking at recent data from South Whidbey School District, and they were just showing actually they had moved above 60%. So that is passing. But as I've mentioned before, school construction funding is going to keep coming up as a big topic for us in our state. So just giving as we start to look at the big picture of what we're going to be looking at going into the legislative session, some of the important topics, that's going to be one of them. Related to that, to keep all the directors in the loop, later this month, Representative Mary Fossey from Legislative District 38 is scheduled to be touring 2 of our Everett schools. And this is related to the topic of school construction funding and school capital bonds. So that I'll be able to report out at the next regular meeting. And of course, with the WASDA conference this week, there will be a lot of discussion of advocacy and what the legislative session is expected to look like. So I'll have more to report back on the 28th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Herman. We'll now move to section 11.0, which is our consent agenda. Dr. Saltzman, would you provide an introduction to our consent agenda?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and the public. The board's consent agenda includes repetitive business items such as meeting minutes, personnel actions, expense vouchers, surplus lists, gifts and grants, and recurring contracts. Sometimes includes items that occur less frequently but are of routine business nature. These items are usually reviewed by the board in the Friday report, 1 or more weeks before the board meeting. This gives directors time to ask staff questions or to consider a discussion about the policy implications of those items. The board votes on the consent agenda in a single motion. By its definition, a consent agenda is not debatable. In the case of this consent agenda, the superintendent's office received and answered one question regarding the surplus of instructional library materials. The consent agenda is presented as published for board approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saltzman. A motion to adopt the consent agenda is now in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Director Herman and seconded by Director Mitchell to approve the consent agenda. Does any director wish to remove an item from the consent agenda, place it into new business section of this agenda so it can be heard? Hearing no requests, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Those abstain, say abstention. The motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Dr. Saltzman.
Thank you.
Hold on just a second. We'll now move to strategic progress monitoring, section 12.0, which is our technology plan update. And I see the presenter is at the podium. Mr. Beckley, go right ahead.
Good evening, President Lassane, Board of Directors, Dr. Saltzman. I am happy to be here today to share with you the update to the Integrated Technology Plan. The purpose of the plan, I want to take just a few minutes to share the plan's purpose is the framework for the 2022 capital technology levy, the $96 million levy that our community passed last year. And we are always express our gratefulness to the community for their support of integrating technology into the community and providing it for our staff and our students. These levy funds are provided to us over 6 years. And all that you'll hear today is funded with our capital money. The technology that the district has that this plan outlines is provided for by those technology funds. We pride ourselves in being good fiscal stewards of these resources the community has given us. The projects are promises that we made to our community when they passed this levy. And that's, it's important that we get this opportunity to share with you kind of like our status that we've done. All of our projects are aligned to the strategic plan. The technology plan is articulated and it's specific and it is aligned to a specific plan, and that falls within the strategic plan. So it's not just having technology to have technology. There's a purpose to it. There is a plan to it. And it's a really important aspect that really falls under these 5 areas I've outlined here about ensuring accessibility for our students, about providing opportunities, about enhancing the quality of what experience they have, about preparing them for graduation and the digital landscape that they'll have when they graduate, having a more personalized learning experience based on if they've got a student with disabilities or someone that wants to extend their learning, and the vast array of information and resources that the internet provides. All of those are outlined in the plan, and it provides the strategies for that reliable access. We're really excited. Me and my team love this plan and bringing it to life in our district, and really appreciate the board's support and vision in bringing the one-to-one program to our district and the support from the community. I'm going to outline in this presentation, it's organized around the 6 goal areas, and there'll be an opportunity. I'll also share the highlights of what's to come and opportunity for questions at the end. This is a picture of the Learning and Information Technology Services teams who are getting ready to welcome our students in August. And I put this here as a way of, we see our work as being a foundation for all supporting priority student outcomes, and that work supporting the strategic plan. And all that we do, that through line from the plan to the students, is something we strive for each and every day. So in the first goal area under leadership is really about how does the strategic plan, or sorry, the integrated technology plan, how do we support leaders for being able to leverage their capacity to lead with technology? And there's so much they do in schools already, from modeling interactive panels in their PD and in their training, to using the digital tools and the various data systems to communicate. We see that in our schools, we see that in our department leaders. And so our job as a leader, as a technology team, is to support them further. And you see here a picture of one way we do this is to analyze their plans. We look at their school improvement plans, their department improvement plans, and we look at what is included and how can we as a district and we as a technology department specifically align our resources and our training to support their plan. And that's something we spend. This is a recent staff meeting we had earlier in October. You also see in the work that we do, collaboration being so important. We collaborate in ensuring that, for example, with our academics team, we look at what are the tools we're providing our students? Are they being utilized? Are they aligned to what students need, and are they using those? And if they're not, we make changes, we make reductions. What's our return on investment? And that's a continual work of focus for us ongoing, and we're really continuing that in a robust way this year. Ensuring students and families and staff have secure information is also a priority in leadership. And so we have a really robust digital tool review, and we make sure that it's aligned to instruction, that it has privacy and safety requirements that we follow, and it's aligned to our instructional standards. And that's also part of our work as part of the leadership goal. Lastly, we want to make sure that our people, our staff members, have safe online practices. So we've added Vector Solutions, which is a training that our staff go through each year. We've added that this year on acceptable use and data privacy, so added that piece. Also part of leadership is to make sure that they have tools and the support to use those tools. And a key aspect of that this year is and was part of the 2022 levy, is going out for updating our student information system. And this picture here sort of highlights some various components and how they're sort of interconnected. And there's a lot to a student information system, and it's a software solution that enables a district to manage student information. And it's a school district. We have lots of student information. And so it's important that we look at and have included that as part of our support for leaders, is what kind of system do we provide? So why are we looking for a new student information system? Well, the student information system we have now is a decade old. It's been over 10 years since we've gone out and seen what's out there. And we're looking for an enhanced product with some improved and modern functionality. We want to make sure that the state reporting part of a student information system is accurate. And that's a huge, important part of a student information system. And we are one of only 3 districts left in the state of Washington that uses our current student information system. So we're working with a product that probably in the long run, I don't know how much they're going to be in line with our state reporting requirements. So that's an area of concern. And we have our strategic initiatives that with the strategic plan, especially with grading and assessment. We have to make sure our new student information system aligns with those strategic initiatives. So this potential to have one system, you see all that I've listed there, that's what we currently have. We have Power School enrollment, we have Power School eSchool Plus, we have a grade book and a student information system that aren't even in the same piece. And so having one coherent and comprehensive student information system is our goal. And we heard loud and clear from our families and from our stakeholders that is a goal area. This is our timeline that we've outlined, and we're currently, the RFP has closed and we are narrowing down to the final 2. That should be by Friday. I'll be back to you in we'll have our demos at early December. I'll be back to you in January to share with you the process and our selection. And then we start the months-long process of cutting over to the new student information system. It's quite a timeline. You can see we're not really going to be using the new student information system until the beginning of the 25-26 school year. So it's a lot of training and prep takes place between now and then. Another key aspect of a comprehensive integrated tech plan is the teaching part. And you see here some of the data about the courses and the participants that we've included as part of our training. We make sure to have monthly substitute and new hire training for that ongoing piece, routine training for our counselors and our office professionals. We design our training after hearing from feedback of what they need. We had an office professionals meeting in August and kind of had this choose your own adventure that we had as part of that. And we also hear from our staff about what they need to do their job. And you see a picture there of a course we had this summer at the CRC of how to organize and use your work more efficiently in the cloud. It was one of our most popular sessions, as you could see. It was lots of people from the CRC wanted to take advantage of that. And so we continue to provide those ongoing pieces. We have some facilitators that are on site. We have 2 instructional technology facilitators, as well as our learning management services team. And we provide some on-site support from preschool to 12th grade based on the staff need. One of our focuses this year was on more fully engaging students in the panel. And so our students training the staff on how they can have students project to the panel from their computer and the computer to, or from the panel back to their computer, either projecting or mirroring. This is an example of the training we did at Hawthorne. We did these during Learning Improvement Days in August and some ALIF time over the last couple of months. We have a couple of middle schools left to finish, but by December, we'll have trained all schools across the district. Learning, one of the key aspects of learning is for students to have the power of learning and to feel that when they graduate and they leave our system, they are good digital citizens. And so we've made a real focus of increasing a more robust curriculum in partnership with our librarians and our academic teams about showing our students how technology can be relevant and engaging based on real world challenges. And so the design of our training we have with teachers is how they can visualize that in the classroom to make the experience for their students be more real world, and how can technology support that. We also want to work with our teachers on making sure that they take into consideration the social emotional learning and culturally responsive instructional practices and how technology can support that. You see a picture here of our instructional facilitators at our Cedarwood staff about how they are using daily check-ins with SEL and using link software in the panel as one example of the training we can do with schools about that link between technology and some of these pieces. Essentially, our technology training would not just be tech training for tech clock hours, but would include SEL and culturally responsive practices as well. For assessment, the assessment goal area, we have an amazing assessment team that we partner with, and all ELA math and science interview and assessments are in performance matters, and there's been created assessments in Spanish for dual language. And there's ongoing professional development to help people know how to look at the data from assessments and have those inform their practices. The tools that we have, the dashboards we can put together for them to be able to better articulate how to give timely and responsive feedback. The outreach goal area, engaging our stakeholders to solicit feedback about how we're doing is the key focus of this. We continue to provide hotspots for our students, assuring the board that if a student does not have internet at home, we provide them a hotspot. We also ensure that they have access to a computer at home. Our students in secondary do have a device checked out to them, and in elementary, we make sure they have the option to check one out and take home. Sometimes there's, for different reasons, they want to do something at home as well, and they don't have a computer at home. We ensure they have one. We spent a focus this year on looking at our Let's Talk data, and Let's Talk is one of our tools. You might be familiar with chatbot Chet. It's one of the ways our families can engage with us in real time to ask us questions and get support. When a parent accesses Let's Talk, it generates a ticket, a help desk ticket that we respond to. And we look at that data and we look at where are we hearing from in the district? What schools and what students are we hearing from? And where is in the district that we're not hearing from? And are there different ways that we are reaching out to those areas of the district to ensure that they're getting the support that they need? And so one example here pictured from Everett High School is being part of the multilingual family night. to ensure that those families have access and understand the tools and resources that are available to them. We've also updated our technology web pages, and we engaged stakeholders to review that. And one of the key aspects of that was our Technology Advisory Council. I'm very excited about our Technology Advisory Council. We're over 20 members. We've got staff. We've got teachers, administrators, community members. We've added more student voice this year. I'd like to let the board know that I used the student panel opportunity this summer to fully recruit all of those students to join TAC, and I got a few takers to join our TAC committee. And it's just been a great piece. They helped us with our technology webpage updates, and they've also been integral in this topic, which is artificial intelligence. And it's been a hot topic for the last couple of meetings, as you could imagine. And artificial intelligence is, we're learning together as a Technology Advisory Council. You can see some of their feedback. This isn't all of it. It's just kind of a snapshot of some of the highlights they shared. But it's clear that we need to prepare our staff for AI. AI is here. It's not coming, it's here. And about 9% of the districts across the nation are actively utilizing AI. So we're not abnormal, but everybody's in the same boat. We're kind of all getting ready for helping our teachers know how to fully utilize this, because our students are going to use it in the workplace. They're going to use it at school. We need to help them know how to use it effectively, and how adults can use it effectively as well in their job. And so we are preparing an AI 101 course for our teachers to take advantage of. There's some great tools out there from some of the technology groups that we partner with. And we're going to provide that opportunities for teachers to learn together. The Technology Advisory Council also felt strongly about having opportunities for students to understand a proper code of conduct. How best should they need to learn how to utilize it so it's not used for negative purposes, but for powerful purposes. So more to come on this. The last goal area is infrastructure. One of the key aspects, it's the foundation of the integrated tech plan. And we have to make sure stuff is updated. And so we have a life cycle system. So 3 middle schools got updated computers this year. Security and safety are a key aspect. And so adding multi-factor authentication this year, having students strengthen their passwords requirements was something new that we added, updating our Wi-Fi and our internet filter. I also want to brag about our partnership with Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. They do scans of our network, and we've eliminated all critical alerts that when they do a scan of our network and they give us reports, we've been working on that and eliminated all of those. And that's been work of our network team, especially to get through those critical alerts. Also, a big part of infrastructure is the support. And you can see here sort of an outline of the number of work orders. You can see that arc of the getting ready for the school year, but 15,000 completed work orders from all of our teams, really ensuring that our staff is critical for infrastructure and a key part of our work. So looking ahead, we're going to select and train for a new SIS, Student Information System. We'll continue to provide professional learning for our staff. Planning a partnership with human resources and our stakeholders for a more automated onboarding and offboarding process. We'll be installing panels in small instructional spaces. We've installed panels in the traditional classroom space, but we have some different spaces that are more unique that we'll now find solutions for. Replacing all of our district security cameras will also be a project, as well as ensuring we have an uninterrupted power supply for all of our network switches at all sites. We'll be implementing a new enhanced disaster recovery system, which sounds, kind of ominous, but essentially wanting to replicate in the cloud our data center in case something should happen, so we can rebuild it and then bring things back. And that'll be a key aspect. And once again, changing our website platform. We'll be moving over to Final Site in partnership with our amazing communications team. So that's just a snapshot. And again, all of this is funded by our technology levy. Really grateful for our community for supporting us. And with that, I will be glad to take your questions.
Directors, are there questions for Mr. Hector? Who would like to start?
No, actually, I was going to say great presentation. I think you hit all the questions that I had come with today, and because it covers a lot, so thank you.
Just thank you.
Director Mason, you have a question?
Well, first, I want to thank you for representing us at the WASDA conference coming up here, and your leadership on cybersecurity and everything you've done to keep our students and staff safe. That's just been a huge part of being able to roll out technology. And along those lines, I have some additional questions about AI. So a couple weeks ago, WASDA does these couple times a month. They do a lunchtime call, and it's to connect on a particular topic. And they did one on AI, and then they sent out some additional information and some videos. And so I've been on YouTube and becoming a total expert on the whole thing. Like to use the right words when I ask silly questions. But really, do we have a plan? Is it still blocked in our district?
For students, it is, yes.
Okay, so I guess what I'm interested in is you had talked about putting together some training for teachers, trying to figure out how to help keep students using it in an appropriate manner. But, our students are already using it. Is Chatbot Chat a closed source AI?
Chatbot Chat, yeah, it would be an example of AI.
And iReady's another example, right? So all our students are already using it. So what I would like to know more specifically, not right now, but what is our district plan? Because the longer we keep it blocked to students on their devices, all these students have phones. They have computers at home. They're going to use it. The students that want to find it, they're going to use it. And so I know we want to be cautious about safety, but it was the big scare over Google and everyone was going to learn too much and use all that information. So I kind of see this as similar, and they're already using it. And I personally would just like to see our district be a little more proactive in figuring out how we can roll it out in a way that is safe for people, but is realistic also. Yes, because as you said, it's here.
It's here.
Any other questions?
We will definitely work on that.
Student Rep King? Okay.
Thank you.
The presentation was really clear, and also it was really nice to see that I was at the Summer Tech Forum thing, and it was really nice to see that our input is actually having some effect, and it was really nice that you pointed that out, so thank you.
I do have a couple questions, and it centers around PD. You talked about on one of your slides early on about vector solutions, as well as, speaking on how we roll out security concerns and training. Would you just say that that rollout this past year was for technology department staff, or would you say that we've covered the entire district staff?
Yeah,
on vector solutions.
The vector solution was all staff.
Oh.
It was a module that all staff needed to complete.
Okay, gotcha. So
which is exciting for us to ensure that everybody has the same message and the same review.
Exactly. That's fantastic. Great. I appreciate that. Now, you also mentioned that students can project from their computers to their panels.
Yeah.
Are they using that now? Because in some of the IRs, I don't think I've ever seen them do that.
Staff do it.
Staff can project to the computers and students can project to the panel. Now, it's possible in an instructional view, a teacher might not have been, this is new, so they might not have wanted to showcase that in an IR, but
gotcha.
But it is new training, and the teacher has complete control over what they accept and what how many can share and who can't. They're just getting familiar with doing it, and so there are lots of examples out there of teachers doing some really great things and how they engage with students.
And that's the thing. How are they engaging the subject matter, the curriculum with our students, so their students can then turn around and then share it? And I'm just wondering how much of that is going on in the district. Would you say 85%, 40%?
Well, in terms of how many students are projecting. I would have a hard time putting a percentage on it. I can tell you it's a lot more than it was last year because we've opened it up. We've trained all people on how to do it. We're right there to support them when they try it out. We'll work right alongside them if they're nervous about it, but as they try it and they see the power behind it and they see the excitement in the students, it catches on. And especially in each building, there's always some experts that help others to
Right.
feel comfortable with it.
And we still have representative in each building that can assist the teacher in how to utilize the technology that we have with the curriculum that they have. So it's actually a blended situation, not one on top of each other. We still have that help desk.
Yes, we still have, we still have technicians and facilitators that are out supporting our schools.
Fantastic, fantastic. That might not be a good presentation coming forward to find out how they're engaged in the curriculum, as well as what more for the next technology levy that we may want down the road, what additional support they can see revolving around improving the curriculum and improving, I mean, if AI is already here and kids may go home to utilize their home computer, how the techs are actually seeing the use of technology with the curriculum in the future, that might not be a great presentation to see. Any other questions, directors? Fantastic, great presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Beckley. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, at this particular point in time, we're going to take a 10-minute. I know you're so excited. You came up right away. Let's take a 10-minute break right now before you get started on your presentation.
Sounds great. Waiting for Caroline.
When Caroline gets back, it's fine.
She'll be in. We've got a majority.
Yeah, we got a quorum.
We will now move to section 13.0, which is our information discussion session. We will be hearing on career connected learning spotlight presentation. And I see Mr. Anderson is at the podium.
Yes, good evening. Thank you to the Board of Directors, Board President Lassane, and Dr. Salzman for taking the opportunity to have me represent over my left shoulder the dream team of CTE here. So I just want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to present.
And before we get started, I just wanted you to let everybody know in the CTE that the refreshments that they provided were extraordinary and very delicious, and they were perfect.
Actually, it was me that did all that. I just did. Tonight, I'm talking about career-connected learning with CTE and how we connect our students to careers as they leave and venture on their post-secondary opportunities. Our vision, based on the mission and vision of our district as a team, we felt, based on the leadership of Dr. Salzman and our Chief Academic Officer, our vision is to provide opportunities. In honor of our veterans, as you can see, we have our Army. And as you can see with our Army, they have a very diverse population there in our Army, and it's still a strong unit, even though there was much controversy around our Army letting women in and fighting, and also people with the LGBTQI community. Also, when we look at strengthening programs, we look at, even though our Navy is not the largest anymore, it's still the strongest. And we want to make sure that we continue to strengthen our programs throughout our district. And we look at the greatest of our armed service, the Air Force there. I'm Air Force. And looking at how that our flight team is all aligned. If our curriculum and if we don't have an aligned system, we're not providing students the best opportunity to be successful in post-secondary. So when we look at our highlights, we're going to talk about the who, why, what, and where of CTE. Where it can make, when we look at the who, we serve almost 5,000 students taking at least one CTE course. 88 total CTE teachers throughout their middle and high school, 83 courses throughout the middle and high school, 7 programs, which you will see later that the board voted on, and 1 community. That community is our stakeholders and everyone in this room that give students the opportunity to be successful in their post-secondary careers. Why CTE? Research shows that students who take CTE courses are more successful in their post-secondary adventures. It provides knowledge and it provides skills. I want to give a shout out to our NJROTC team. This weekend alone, they were at 12 different events. It just shows that they are the face of our organization and they do a fantastic job representing us. Now, you've heard from me about how excited I am about CTE. Let's hear from someone who's actually in the classroom talking about the advantages of CTE.
Career and technical education really is for every student because the skills, the habits, the attitudes, the behaviors, the things, the knowledge, the content matter, of course, are of what we do to prepare kids and provide them with the tools, skills, habits, and attitudes to be successful, whether it is next step is 2-year college, 4-year college, trade school, or right into the workplace. Really, I think that the CTE, in my opinion, there should be much more of a requirement for CTE. I really wish every kid had a chance to be in CTE and see what it has to offer. Career and tech.
If you know Mr. Mills, he's one of our veteran teachers who works with one of our more successful programs, our DECA program, which is a large program based over at Jackson High School for one of our schools. He also works with our school-based enterprise, providing students the opportunity to go out and in their cafeteria area and provide not only materials for his his school-based enterprise, which is the printing, which they brought up earlier around the key tags. And he also does work with selling items during the school day. This is one of our newer teachers. The reason I wanted to feature one of our newer teachers is because he's coming from industry. We brought him in to work in our auto shop. He's also working with our aerospace program and manufacturing program. But one of the skills he brings to us is the fact that he also does diesel mechanic work. He works with metal and he works with composites. That is how we're making the connection with our Core Plus to not only deal with the aerospace side, but to also integrate the Core Plus Marine and Maritime. Because you know, in our Marine, most of those boats, the engines are diesel engines, and they use the composites and they use the sheet metal, which his skills bringing that to our team. And this is his second week as a teacher. And you can see he's already using his board and the technology where he connects the learning there, and then he moves into his lab, which is the auto shop, and in his back room he has where he works with a lot of our other equipment. When we talk about alignment, with our new middle school redesign, we were able to actually include some courses that have high school connections throughout, and also having some high school credit in some of the courses that we offer here. And as you can see, many of our high school courses also have industry recognized credentials and certifications tied to them. What is CTE? When we talk about what is CTE, in early 2000s, the board looked at the 16 different career clusters and decided on these 7 for our region. As you can also see with this slide, there's increases in the last 2 years in each of our programs. CTE college credit, giving students the opportunity to have an advantage leaving our programs, going into college with credits. These are some of the programs that we offer with the dual credit and college and the high school. And we're currently articulating our computer science when we are working with a program that we'll mention later in the presentation around our Cisco Networking Academy. This is why I'm really excited about working with this team. One of the things that we all challenged each other on was making sure that our marginalized students had opportunity and access. If you look at these numbers, our students receiving special services, the growth of 383%. Then we look at free and reduced meals, 109%, and our multilingual students, 58% growth in the last 2 years. Also, when we look at industry recognized credentials, 35% of our graduating seniors in 2023 earned IRCs. And this year we're looking at our biotech assistant. We're still looking at our home care aide, which we'll discuss some with that program, some of the things we're redoing with that program, and also our paraeducator certifications are new programs that we're bringing in. Student organizations. This is another opportunity for our students to connect with industry. They go out in our 16 CTSOs and clubs, and they're able to compete nationally and regionally with skills from those different areas in the career force. Again, work-based learning opportunities. 66% of our graduates last year completed a work-based learning activity. As you can see to the right, many of those activities can involve field trip, interviews, paid or unpaid internships, and career research projects. This is one of our programs that other districts are really coming in and trying to get trying to learn from us on how they can start a program of their own. What we're proud about is that we finally got the opportunity to have a partnership with Providence, and working with Providence, you'll see later in the presentation how we're going to try to grow that relationship and really improve some of the offerings we have for students. Worksite learning, this is the opportunity for students who already have jobs to come in and work with our worksite learning coordinator to see if they can get credits while working at their jobs and earn those high school credits to help them through. And what I want to highlight is that last bullet. you can see that over 30,000 hours have been logged in worksite learning. And this is where we're really appreciative of the direction the board and executive leadership has provided us, and listening to not only our community of partners, but also our administrative teams. We're looking at things that we've improved to make sure that there's a seamless opportunity for our students to be successful by making sure our building leaders have support, our teachers have support, our community has support. And if you look at Everett Career Links, listening to the community, they felt, and a few of you were on a few of the presentations, they felt that 6 weeks was a long time to keep the attention of the students during the summer, and students going on vacation, going in and out. We shortened it to 3 weeks to give them the opportunity to have a focused partnership and mentorship program with our community. And it also allowed other partners to come in, because now they know they only have that 3-week commitment. So that allowed us the opportunity to develop more partnerships. Innovative program improvements, biomanufacturing, which students could earn certification for. Home care aid, we were the first in the state to have the home care aid program, and we were actually invited to speak at a national conference. One of our facilitators here was invited to speak at a national conference to talk about how high schools can actually integrate that home care aid into their programs. Also, as I mentioned earlier about our partnerships, we're looking to do the Certified Nursing Assistant program, and we're going to have some meetings in January with some companies to help us get that program off the ground and running. We're also proud about our Cisco Networking Academy. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity, when you start building networks and maintaining networks, that's where you learn the cybersecurity skills also. And we're also looking to explore career explorations and skill building through virtual reality. Now, what we're looking at is this provides students the opportunity. They can go on virtual field trips. And actually, if you look at the medical industry now, a lot of the technology they're using is the doctors looking through goggles and using the hand tools, which we're going to bring in with the virtual reality and bring it in our medical science program. Now, where can CTE take me? This young lady spoke, and I think Director Mitchell was on the screen when she said she wanted to be part of our healthcare program. And this is the path she took. She determined her health science courses. She joined the CTSO. She applied with Providence Hospital summer internship. And as you can see, a roadblock was there because now we're revamping the program, and it was just being transparent, some communication issues that caused us not to be able to offer the full program at the home healthcare aid this year. Looking ahead, we've heard a number of times that the board wanted to make sure we build programs that give students access. So what we're looking at is these are some of our programs, but we want to have strong programs so that our students leave and they're competitive in the workforce and competitive and have skills when they go on to college. So by providing these programs at these locations and making them strong, we feel that by opening up the doors for students across the district to have access, and that's the next step, that's the next phase that we're working on as a team. We want to make the program strong and then offer them to students across the district. Again, we are really looking to build robust programs so that we're at the forefront of what's going on in the lives of our students. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your support. I want to thank the principals for their support, for letting us, as you can see here, at every high school and beyond plan. And you don't just see my face there, you see the entire team at every event, because we're really trying to make a difference in the lives of students. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Directors, are there questions or comments you would like to make? And student reps as well, if there are questions or comments, please take this time.
Can I comment on the snacks?
Yes. Oh, God, yes, go right ahead.
Thank you for your presentation, and the snacks were very professionally put together and very high quality, and I couldn't stop eating. So give my regards to the chefs. Thank you.
Can I just respond to that? And I forgot to mention that we're really looking to transition those food classes so that they're entry-level culinary programs so that they can move on to Snow Owl and already have the skills. So we're looking to try to transition that as we move forward.
Well, and I did find out that the jam is a farm to table product because the kids went out to staff person's wine or vineyard, plucked the grapes and made the jam. So, I mean, that is teaching them essential skills for where restaurants are going these days. I also want to say that at my physical therapy, IRG, there was a student there. The physical therapist couldn't tell me what school, but I hoped it was ours since it was on Evergreen Way, not too far from here, but it was nice to see them on the list. But even the physical therapist really enjoyed having that student there. So I think it was, hopefully, I didn't see the student ever, but I saw her work in the office. And so I just think this is a great opportunity for our students. So thank you.
Right ahead.
I love seeing all these opportunities. Great presentation and great work to the entire team. You had talked a little bit about, yes, and very much so. You talked a little bit about the different high schools would each sort of have their specialty programs. So in other words, choice for some of our students. What does that look like now, and what's the vision for the future as far as whether students in certain grades might make the choice to go to a different high school for part of the day or one class? What's the vision for that?
That's the next phase of what we're looking at. The first phase is really making those programs strong and solid. And then we're going to look at how we can open the doors. Just in a meeting today with some of our partners in the room, looking at the networking academy. They're looking at bringing in a large population of students internally first. And then what was discussed was looking at maybe offering maybe 30 slots and then trying to transport students to that from across the district. So it'll be, and I forgot to mention that if you look here that most of the team walks around with this so that any student can scan it and then they can email us or complete a survey about what are their interests. Right now, the leading interest is the healthcare. So we're really looking at improving that. So this is just one of the things we're doing so that we can reach all students, and at every high school and beyond, we use this item.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say again, I think seeing the Snow Isle presentation as well, and hearing everything you're doing, it just it blows my mind, and I just am so excited about the work that you all are doing. So thank you.
Exactly. Good rep, Kink.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment. The students at Jackson and myself, I think, really received the CTE programs well. It's like information you can't learn anywhere else, and the ones I've taken I've had a good experience with, and they just tend to be like really fun, and you learn a lot of stuff. So yeah.
More snacks for you.
I did have one comment, and I won't hold it against you that you chose the Air Force. I mean, when you had the opportunity to choose the Navy, well, come on, let's be real. But anyway, most of my relatives were Air Force, so what can I say? I do like the idea of bringing Core Plus Marine with working with diesel engines. That's very good. And I know Washington State ferry system, and we talked about this earlier, but I just want to make sure that we get this on the record. They're going through a lot of retirements at this particular point in time, and they're aging out. It's a great opportunity for students that want a really very robust career and a great paying career to go into that field, Core Plus Marine, and be hired up in the Washington State ferries. And I know they're going total electric in the future, but that is in the future. And currently now, they still are running on diesel engines. So it is a good opportunity for kids now. So that is definitely an opportunity for us to look into. with Core Plus, aerospace manufacturing and Core Plus Marine. That is one area where we can really do a great service for our students. So think about that as we go forward. Thank you.
And thank you. Just another plug there with our student counselors. We're actually putting together a trip so they can go around and tour all of our programs so that they have a better idea of what these programs are for students. And we're looking at our middle school field trip to the Port of Everett.
Very good. Sounds wonderful. Thank you. I like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. Are there any other questions? Nope. We shall now be moving to our next item, which is unfinished business, which is section 14.0. There are no unfinished business scheduled for this meeting agenda. Moving on to section 15.0. 15.01 is approval of the educational specifications for Jackson Elementary School replacement, and Mr. Gunn is at the podium. Mr. Gunn.
All right, good evening. So I wasn't in the Navy, but my dad was. Tonight I'm going to present to you the educational specifications and schematic design for Jackson Elementary School replacement. We will be reviewing the schematic site and floor plans, and then also asking for your approval of the educational specifications. So an outline of this is, again, to review the ed specs, educational specifications. I use the abbreviation ed specs, so I wanted to be clear about that. Also, we will cover, in addition to reviewing the site and floor plans, we'll talk about next steps in the project schedule, and then at the end of this, we will ask for your approval. You will notice the pictures in this. I wanted to point out all the students are either current or former students of Jackson Elementary School in this presentation. So there were about 32 people involved in the educational specifications for this project over the last 10 months or so since January. And in one 20-minute presentation, I'm just going to be able to give you a brief overview of that, along with some visuals and graphics that help you understand the process that they went through. First item of business is to just kind of remind you that this project is it's really the first large project coming out of the 2022 capital levy program. You heard a presentation this evening on the technology in the 2022 capital levy. This $325.5 million capital levy program included about $90 million for technology. So that's all encompassing. You can see the schedules up there of the major projects, and Jackson Elementary School replacement is on the top row. The blue is design and the green is construction. So you'll see from this, and I'll tell you again at the end of the presentation, this Jackson Elementary School replacement project will begin construction a year from this spring. And it will take 2 summers and about 2 years or so to complete the project. So on the left-hand side of this is a picture of the original Jackson Elementary School. We borrowed heavily from Larry O'Donnell's book on the history of the Everett Public Schools. That Jackson Elementary School, it was built in 1902, and it was used until the construction of the current school on the right-hand side of that slide, which was in 1949. The school on the left was located on the property that is now known as the Norton Avenue Playfield. That's where the original Jackson Elementary School was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So anyway, the educational specifications according to the WAC shall describe the educational activities that the proposed school facilities and grounds should support, and the types of spaces and the relationships in order to accommodate program requirements. I'll again quote Larry O'Donnell from my experience with him, working with him for many years. He used to call the ed specs a written blueprint that you would give the architects, and they would use that to design the building for. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the facilitation team, Darcy Walker, Everett Public Schools, Stephen Kraus, construction manager, and then Kelly Smith with the Dyckman Architects. I believe Darcy and Stephen are in the audience here. Yes,
Over
they are,
there.
right back over here. And by the way, we also have Mark Gifford, the architect with NAC Architecture. They're the actual architect for the design of the project. So thank you for coming tonight. The SBEC committee, I mentioned there were about 32 members, teachers, staff, principals, principal, and then administrators, and of course the architectural team. So the process so we use Dyckman Architects. They have done many educational specification projects for us, and then the architect of record, NAC Architects, they were both there. Dyckman Architects, though, worked with our staff to facilitate a series of 7 workshops designed to help inform the educational specifications, including school tours, and there were 3 tours that they went on. Elementary schools, of course, Stevens Creek Elementary in Lake Stevens, Spruce Elementary School in Edmonds, and then Tambar Creek Elementary School in our own school district. They also, the process included bubble diagram exercises, focus groups with elementary school staff and administrators, numeric programming, and adjacency diagramming exercises. There's a lot of words there. On the next 4 or 5 slides, I'll show you pictures of those things. So this slide here basically helps, I think, convey the engagement, the high level of engagement and activities and participation by the EdSpec team. They really enjoyed the process, and they were very engaged, and also very good team members from all reports. This slide here shows some of those bubble diagrams, and it also helps start to define the relationships, which spaces have strong relationships to other spaces and which ones don't. So on the left-hand side, what you see are the spaces that need to be public versus private, and then how they're connected to each other, how they're related. On the right-hand side, you see general education classrooms in the middle, and then you see various other types of spaces around that, and it again begins to define which spaces need to be near each other and which ones do not. So these are the bubble diagrams and adjacency diagrams. These 2 slides, what they're conveying to you is kind of visually an activity that the EdSpec team was involved in, where the educational specification team provided small table groups. So there were 5 table groups, and they gave them each the spaces that were in the program, and then a site plan. So the colored blocks, the rectangles, were every table got the same colored blocks of spaces that needed to go into the project, along with the site plan. And so all 5 tables were then given the task of locating these on the site in generally the relationship that they need to be. And what was really interesting about that is that all 5 tables came up with very similar designs, locations for the various activities on the site. This slide shows mission statement and guiding principles. developed in this educational specification project for this replacement project. And then this slide here shows the highlights of the proposed project. So the plans for the replacement of the school are 60,000 square feet on 2 floors. Right now, I think there are 5 or so different levels out there with no elevator. I remember in the early 90s trying to resolve ADA access to that building, and you really couldn't, not with physical removal of barriers. Anyway, 450 students, 26 teaching stations. The site is 5.1 acres, which is about half of our average school size around the district. And then extended learning areas, also known as breakout areas, normally widened sections of hallways that they can use for breakout activities. And then a connection to nature and natural light, flexible teaching spaces again, and then safety and security always is a high priority for us. I did want to mention the current planned capacity is 450 students. We have 330 capacity in the building right now, and it's compared to an enrollment of about 290. So we're going to build the new school for 450. We have a 330 current capacity, so we're going to increase the capacity by the equivalent of 6 classroom spaces. And I wanted to just kind of go into that a little bit, because in the 2022 capital levy program, we had anticipated we were going to be adding 10 classroom spaces here. We found that during the design process, we discovered and identified quite a few constraints to the site development that has led us to this, to the square footage and the number of classrooms that we're presenting to you tonight. So basically, we were hoping to add 10. We have found that we're only going to be able to add 6 at this. So this highlights that you see up there, the 26 teaching stations, reflect the addition of 6 classrooms from what they have right now. So this is the current site plan. I'm going to give you just an overview of this and then get into another site plan that shows you the constraints, and then I'll show you one that shows you where we're ending up with the design. So the current building is on the northern portion of the site, grass playfield on the southeast corner of the property, covered play southwest corner. North of the school is a parking lot here, and then the parent drop-off is on the right-hand side in front of the school, and the bus drop-off is behind the school. This is a site plan that shows the constraints, so I'm going to kind of go through those. They're described on the right-hand side, but I'm just going to start at the south end of the site and walk you to the north end. Before we developed kind of an investigation of the on-site conditions with our wetlands biologist and architectural team, we did not believe that there would be any wetlands or buffers to wetlands on the property. We were led to believe that, in fact, by some of the city staff that we had talked with back in the development of the capital levy program. But we certainly found that there are. And so you can see the green here shows the wetland area, and that wetland comes with a 60-foot setback, and then it's a wetland buffer, and then there's a 10-foot setback on top of that. So what we're really seeing there is effectively a 70-foot distance from the boundaries of the wetland that we cannot build on. We were certainly hoping to be able to build on that area. Working our way north, there's a 21-foot of grade difference here. We kind of knew that there was steep slopes there, but we'll see some more on the northern part of the property. But bisecting the site from east to west, there is a 70-foot wide section, which is 30 foot of right-of-way, so that's city property, and then 30 foot of utility easement area that the city has. We've given many years ago, given the city an easement for that because there are major underground water lines leading from the reservoir up above to the areas to the east. We were hoping and planning to be able to build over, if not on, some of those properties there. And we have been told that we certainly cannot. So we weren't even able to build the covered walkway connection from the northern half of the property to the south. And then also there's about 15 foot of elevation difference change here. It drops down, and I'll show you some pictures here in just a minute. From up on the portables, there are 4 portables up here. There's 15 foot of grade change elevation drop down to the street at that location. And then there's a stand of 4 tremendous oak trees. And I'm guessing that they were planted around the time that Jackson was built. I'm just guessing. It was about 70 years ago. I looked if you go back to that one slide where there's a picture of the school under construction, I didn't see any little saplings there, but they look like they could be that old. Okay, one more thing is that there are also building setbacks from the property line between 10 and 20 feet wide, depending on which property line you're on. So all of those are constraints to us putting a new building on the site. So real quickly, I'll show you some of the constraints. Both of these pictures show you the 15 foot of elevation change in the northern part of our property from up where the portables are down to the street to the north of the school. This one shows that stand of 4 oak trees on the northeast corner. They really do provide a park-like setting to that part of the property, and what we're trying to do is to retain those if we can. And then on the left side, what you see is that 70-foot wide right-of-way and easement area from the west side of the property to the east. So you're looking east right there. And then on the right-hand side, you see this nice green play field. Well, you see a little dip right along that side of that location of the fence, and that's where there's actually a storm drain at that location that drains into the wetland. All right, so this is the site plan that shows the current location of the building. And as you can see, we are planning at this point to have one single building on the west side of the property. And what you may notice is that the location of this right in here overlaps where the existing library is. And I think two classrooms and part of a hallway and the gymnasium. So I think those areas with this plan would need to be removed in order to build this first phase of the school. And then, so you're starting to get an idea of what the phasing will look like. There are 4 portables on site right now. We're going to relocate those. We're going to need a total of 7 portables on the property during construction. Those will be on the grass play field. And we'll have a series of fences and we'll need to demolish the library and the gymnasium and a couple classrooms, build some demising walls, and then do the construction on the west side of the property. That will be for the first year and finish up by the summer of the second year, and then we'll start the rest of the project on the right-hand side. The parent drop-off area here, there are some staff and visitor parking. The covered play area at this point will remain in place. It will be upgraded, of course, seismically and give it some new finishes, probably paint and lights and that kind of thing. And then the bus drop-off area is on the west side over here on Tulalip. The parking on the north side of the property will remain in place with certainly much better pedestrian access to the school. What we're trying to do with this design is to get as much parking off of the public streets as we can. We may still need some parent loading and unloading on Federal Avenue, but we're trying to get as much as we can onto the site there. And we'll still have the parking south of the, on the south side of the property along Federal right in here. Now the first floor plan, it's color coded. I'll just say we've grouped those classrooms are blue. Gymnasium, cafeteria, and stage obviously are yellow. If it's a dark gray, it's kitchen or mechanical spaces or essential support functions. And then the office area is shown in red. Remember, there's a pretty amazing view of the mountains to the east and also to the north. So all the spaces along this office, the special ed classroom here, and then these two classrooms will have a really good view of the mountains. And then as well, will the library here and the Idea Lab and these classrooms will also have a really nice view of those mountains. And then also to the north over here, looking towards the Navy base there on the north-hand side. So two-story plan. This is a central atrium right here. So this will have a high ceiling space. It'll have the main kind of a monumental stairway up. There's an elevator planned currently right back here. That one may be moved to be more centralized to the near the entrance area. We're still working on that, or the architects are. And now I'm going to show you just some real kind of working sketches or renderings of what the front elevation would look like. You can certainly notice the similarity to the existing facade on the west side. So the library is upstairs, the office area is down here, and then classrooms over here. The materials they're looking at right now, again, they haven't settled on it, but they're looking at either masonry or brick or metal siding or cementitious siding. So really, we're looking at various options. And it will likely be a combination of those. So it's not going to be all brick or all masonry. It'll be a combination. And you're actually standing in this perspective here, you're standing in the parent drop-off area looking west towards the school. And I suspect actually you might see some of those oak trees standing off to the right there if you were really in that location. Here's another view of the study that they're doing on materials from the same location, west or east of the building, looking west. And then this is from the bus loading area. And what you're seeing right here is the kitchen area, cafeteria and gymnasium over here. And then this is actually a kindergarten play area right here, fenced for the kindergarten on the left side. So this is the west entrance that the kids riding and the buses will go in and out of. And then this is another view showing different materials from the same location. Okay, the schedule. So we have just finished up the educational specifications and schematic design. Now the architects go into what's called the design development. They're nearly complete with the value engineering study, and we'll be bringing that to you for approval at some point here in the next couple of months. They'll be doing a constructability review. Contract documents, that's the drawings and the specifications that they use to bid and build it from. And then you can see the rest of the schedule there. I wanted to jump down to the construction of phase 1. Again, start construction spring of 25. And then the construction of phase 2 beginning August of 26. So we'll be under construction for those 2 summers, the summer of 26 and the summer of 27. Finish up at the end of the summer of 27. So with that, I'm ready to answer any questions you might have, but I did want to remind you, we're requesting your approval of the educational specifications this evening.
Great, thank you very much. Directors, student rep, this is our opportunity to ask questions. Who would like to begin?
I just have one question.
Okay.
So you mentioned construction during summers. Does that mean construction doesn't happen during school year when school's in session? Or
It will. It will.
Okay, so it's
yes.
summer, school year, summer.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I'm sorry.
thank you.
It does.
Okay,
The summers are usually when we get most of the work done, because then there's usually no students or staff on site. So that's, so by the end of that, the first summer is when let me go back to it. The construction of the first phase, by the end of the summer of 2026 is when we will be done with the first phase. The new building will essentially be built, and we'll move from the parts of the old building and the 7 portables into the new building. So that's the end of the summer of 26. And then the end of the next summer will be the completion of all of the site work and everything else.
Director Herman.
First of all, I really appreciate the aspect of honoring history for Jackson Elementary. There's a lot of history there, and I think that those were some of the concerns that I had heard from people. And so things like those old oak trees, I think actually means a lot. So thanks for acknowledging that. 2 questions. The first is, do we have other examples? And I'm trying to think of schools that have been built during session, the phased-in construction.
Yes,
buildings?
virtually all of our
Monroe, View Ridge.
new and lube replacements have been phased during construction. The only ones that haven't really have been Jackson, I'm sorry, Tambar Creek, because that was new. Forest View was new. But Monroe, View Ridge, Jefferson, Garfield.
Okay, so those are all, like you were
those
saying,
are
the
all new and
construction
new
while
replacements.
school's going. Okay, so we have lessons learned and experience.
We've been doing
with
it,
that.
I've been doing it for 30 some years.
I'm imagining them hammering as the kids are trying to learn. And then also budget-wise, there's been changes since the start of this project. The school itself is a little smaller than planned, but I know there's been a lot that has had to be worked around. Can you remind me where we are in terms of the original budget plans for this?
Sure,
and currently?
I can.
Even ballpark.
So when the capital levy was put together, we had estimated that this project was going to cost about $48.8 million total project cost. We had in the cost estimates for the capital levy, we had assumed a 4% cost escalation per year out over time. We've experienced higher than that. We've actually experienced about a 9% per year. So what I'm doing is building up to the fact that currently we're over the budget on this project. I know that because, and I mentioned that we're nearly complete on the value engineering study. And that's where, as part of that, they do a cost estimate based on the design. And then they come up with suggestions for how we could either reduce the cost or get better value for the money we're going to spend. And we will be approving some of those changes that will help bring that cost down. So right now we believe we're about $6 million over that based on the escalation over time. So that amount will get smaller, and it is very common that at this point in a big project that we're facing a cost estimate that is higher than we had thought. So in addition to the value engineering process, we also have some SCAP funds that we plan to draw on for situations like this. And like I said, it's very common that on these large projects that we will end up spending more money on it than we had originally thought. So we do plan for that. We build those contingencies into our funding projections for this.
To piggyback off of that question, if I may, we can truly expect some, inflationary costs added on, and usually the figure I believe is somewhere in the neighborhood of 8%. Is there any way to reduce the schedule so that we build earlier than what we plan currently in order to eliminate a lot of additional inflationary expenses?
We are not able to do that because remember the money from the levy comes in 12 equal payments over 6 years. So twice a year we get a portion of the property taxes that come in. So remember the difference between a capital levy and a capital bond? A bond, you get the money up front, and it costs the taxpayers more because you pay it off over 15 to 20 years. With a capital levy, the taxpayers don't pay any interest on it. It's just that, but we get the money when they pay it in, and then we can use it at that time.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying. Director Mason?
I did have a question. You've actually answered a lot of my questions. Thank you. This thorough, very thorough. I looked at the specs. It was a lot of information. I didn't get through every detail. Is the whole building going to have AC?
I'm going to tell you what I think, but the architects and the cost estimators and our design team will be able to figure that out. Usually in the elementary schools, we do not air condition the entire facility. We'll air condition perhaps the library and the office areas, and not other spaces.
Right.
That's very typical.
Okay. I'm just thinking ahead and the changing climate in the world we live in. And we typically have not done that, and we typically don't need it. But you know, if we're looking at a school to last another 50 years, I have some concerns about what back to school is going to look like in terms of heat and such.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah. And then my other question, I guess, is how are we heating the building? What is the spec right now?
I'm not a mechanical engineer, and I'm going to have to say that we can follow up with you on that information.
Okay.
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Myself.
Thank you.
And I don't want to put our design team on the
No,
spot
that's fine.
right now,
I
so.
apologize. I mean, it's probably in the specs somewhere, but just curious if there's any, you know, what the conversation around changes in sustainability and those kind of things has been.
Well, what I can tell you is that they're looking at various options right now.
Yeah.
We're early on in the design process. And we have the at least 3 different major code requirements from the state that we have to comply with. The Washington Sustainable Schools Protocol, the Energy Code, and then the Clean Buildings Act. And so we have to comply with all of those, and they all have very stringent requirements phased in over time. We're doing all that.
Right.
So I just
that takes care of a whole lot of it right off.
Yes,
the bat. Yeah.
it really
Without
does.
having to think, you know, what you want to do, it's what you have to do.
Right. So I would say that the time to really for us to get definitive about the kind of system we're really planning to put in there would be later in the design process.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I do appreciate this. It reminds me a lot of our curriculum adoptions where there's just a lot of input and it's very thorough. And so thank the team for the work that they've done.
I will.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Director Revelinsky? Student reps? Nothing. I have a couple more questions. Oh, yes.
Just kind of like based off of what Director Mason just said about like the AC and stuff, just like something to keep in mind is with North Middle School, I know they went with a lot of like big windows in a lot of the classrooms, just like I have heard from other students that occasionally during like the hotter season or when it was a very sunny day, it does get hot in those classrooms with big windows. Mm-hmm. So that is something to maybe keep in mind, as well as I really like the idea of where that like parent parking lot is. I thought that's a really good idea as someone who has family living on Federal Way. I can tell there's like a lot of students back and forth from there, and it's kind of scary. You don't know, little kid's gonna jump in front of a car.
Yeah.
So yeah, having that bigger space was a really good idea.
Thank you. Those are really good comments. Appreciate it.
I have a couple questions myself. You're talking about bringing portables in once you demolish part of the building in order to start the construction on phase 1. And you were mentioning putting the portables on top of the play field currently that the city is saying that we're unable to build on. Is that kind of an opportunity for us for a short period of time? And we can't build anything permanent, but portables are allowed? Or are they going to charge us or fine us for doing that? Or is there an agreement already established?
I would say that right now, the plan would be that we would place portables on the grass playfield, not on the easement or the right-of-way. Now, we can also consider placing them on paved surfaces, like the parking lot to the north of the school. It's just that it's best if it's on the site somewhere.
Right, and I was
So-
wondering, you said the playground itself was non-buildable per the city?
No, actually, if you go to, oops, I'm going back to this site plan right here. So you can't build anything within this 70-foot dash line, 70 foot of the wetland, but you can put portables in this area right here.
Okay.
So we can use this area, the wetland, quote, wetland buffer area, as the playground, and put portables on the area that's not,
In the
it's neither
wetlands.
within the wetland buffer or the easement or the right-of-way.
And I think what he said too is the city didn't identify this. This was found more recently.
Well, yeah, so we hire wetland biologists to go out and do testing of the soils, and they also characterize all the plants around there, and then they sit down with city staff to look at the requirements that the city has for determining whether there are wetlands, and if there are, what type are they, and then what are the setbacks required from there. And so it was really when we got into that investigation that we were able to identify that it was a 60-foot buffer with a 10-foot setback from that.
I gotcha, I appreciate that, but in all honesty, the playground for children during the 2-year construction phase is going to be reduced.
Very much, yes.
Very much so.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, one of the topics that we're currently looking at is where to locate a construction laydown area. Where would the contractor store his materials while he's building? And we will bring more about that to you later.
Okay. The other question I had, one of the comments I guess I previously made was in the building size. We had quite a few kindergartens, and we plan on putting in transitional kindergarten as well as ECAP programs here as well. And my concern is, does that, because we had to reduce from 30 teaching stations down to 26 teaching stations, will that impact the ability to continue to have transitional kindergarten here, or the required ECAP programs with special ed kindergarten and things like that?
I guess the way I would answer it is that we are building 6 more classrooms, permanent classrooms, than they have today. And the proposed floor plans, when I say proposed, I mean the current floor plans, indicate, I think, 5 classrooms that have self-contained restrooms within them that you would use for kindergarten or ECAP or other self-contained classrooms. So I believe that they have 3 kindergartens there right now. So I think that's it. So, and it changes over time as the kids show up.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that we're going to have more ability to house those kinds of programs in this building than we currently do. Even though we're building 4 fewer classrooms at the end of the day than we were planning to. We will still be increasing the capacity at this school by the equivalent of 6 classrooms.
Do you foresee that down the road we'll still have the requirement to have portables after the construction is done?
Not immediately. And the 10-year projections, so I'll put it this way, once we finish the project, we expect that we will still be under, our capacity of the school will be more than, it will be about 130 more than the students that we have. And I looked at the 10-year projections, medium range projections from Les Kendrick for this school, and it shows an increase of about 25 over that 10-year period. So what it points to is that it's unlikely for this project alone that we would need to adjust boundaries. We could decide to do that, but we wouldn't be required to.
Can I ask, has it been identified which school those gigantic boxes down on the river will attend?
Yeah, we do know, we've been tracking all the multifamily developments
Right.
and which schools they will attend. I did a Friday report that kind of outlined all that. I think it was about a month ago. Sent it out to you all.
Okay,
I
kind of
looked
remember
at it,
something like
yeah.
that. I know there's already condos and other buildings down there that are currently, we have enrollment from that are, I believe at Lowell, but the two new ones that have, I think, yet to be,
Yeah,
yet to open.
that shows up in that analysis.
Oh, it
Okay,
does,
I'll
okay.
go back and look. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll look at that too. So thank you for that
You're welcome.
information.
So I would like to, once again, ask for your consideration and approval of the educational specifications for this project.
Okay, directors. It has been requested that the Board of Directors approves the educational specification for Jackson Elementary School replacement. A motion to adopt is in order.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say no. Any abstentions? The approval is granted. Thank you. Our next item is approval, is 15.02, and while Mr. Gunn is still at the lectern, he can go ahead and change the slides into that for approval of the legislative priorities. Oh, you can stay for the remainder of the meeting. You don't have to all leave. Very good work. I do want to comment on this. Very good work. I appreciate it so much.
All right, so I will head right into the next one, next agenda item, which is the draft legislative priorities for 2024. Each year, the board approves a set of priorities for its use in advocacy during the upcoming legislative session. In this presentation, I'm going to give you an overview of what some of the other statewide K-12 public school-related agencies are using for their priorities and platforms, and how we develop these for your consideration and hopefully approval tonight. But first, I would like to look at some of the upcoming events that relate to the legislative session coming up. So the WASDA Annual Conference will be November 16th through the 18th. I'm sure you're fully aware of that, and I know some of our members will be attending. We will ask for your approval at the next board meeting unless you approve it tonight. You have the choice, if you don't need to make any changes to these priorities tonight, you can approve this tonight. But if you don't, then we would make whatever adjustments you're going to ask for and bring it to the November 28th meeting. Then the legislative session is a 60-day regular legislative session going from January 8 to March 7. It is a shorter session than occurs every other year. So in every even year, there's a short 60-day session. When it's a odd year, then I think it's a 105-day session. Then as part of that, on January 28th is the WASDA Legislative Conference in Olympia. That is on a Sunday. It's an all-day conference, and then the Day on the Hill is what it's called. It's Monday, January 29th, and that's where those of you that go down to Olympia for that event will have the opportunity to sit down with state legislatures, legislative representatives, and share with them your priorities. I just wanted to remind you too, this is the second year of a biennial budget process. And so there's already an approved budget for this biennium. This second year of that process, there is supplemental budgets in 3 areas that are usually approved. We're not expecting big changes in the budget, but they do go through and put together supplemental budgets for the operating budget, the capital budget, and the transportation budget. So I'm going to cover 4 other agencies and their legislative priorities and kind of share with you what they're looking at. And I will just kind of give you a preview of that and say that many of their priorities are very similar to the priorities that we're proposing. So the State Board of Education approved its platform in October of 23. The Washington State PTA in October. The WASA released its platform in June of 23, and then WASDA issued its legislative priorities just about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. So these are the first 3 of those: the State Board of Education, the state PTA, and then Washington Association of School Administrators. I know there are a lot of acronyms and abbreviations here, so those of you that are fairly new to this, ask me, stop me and ask me if I say something that you're not understanding. But let me kind of summarize these for you. Common themes for these 3 agencies: basic and special education program funding, equity and reducing gaps, serving the whole child, mental health and safety was found throughout those, appropriate staffing allocations, and then funding and support for school facilities and transportation. Then we come to the WASDA priorities, and as you can see, those reflect many of those themes I just mentioned, plus very similar to the proposed themes that we're proposing you tonight. And there's a good reason for that, and that is that we started with the WASDA legislative priorities that they put out to school board members throughout the state. There were about 124 possible positions statewide that WASDA asked for board members, for school boards to vote on, to select their top 10. So our cabinet here looked at those and gave, through its support for certain of those, and then provided that information to the school board. And the school board went through a voting process. It selected its top 10, turned that into WASDA. And then what I did is took the votes that the school board had cast for those 124 possible positions statewide and evaluated those. And I think there were about 26 of those that received at least 1 vote from board members. So we took those 26, and those are what are on the next couple of slides here. And we sorted those into the 3 priorities that we're suggesting right here on the bottom of the screen: funding or resources, safety and health, and then equity, diversity, and opportunity. So you can see from the color coding of the priorities, the list there, this is about half of that list of 26. And you can see from the colors of those how they sorted to the topics on the right-hand side. So again, funding was a major topic among all of those the board members that the votes that they cast. So that included basic education, special education, staffing, and professional development. I'm just going through the green items, highlighting those from the screen there. Safety and health was up there, comprehensive school and student safety, going into the red or the orange topic there. And then on the purple, it was equity, diversity, and opportunity. So that was seen in the topics of multilingual learners, diverse staff, and dual credit options. So on the next slide is very similar. You can just see how those all sorted to the topics on the right-hand side. So I would say the funding is MSOC, transportation, AI technology, climate impact mitigation assistance. Safety and health was safe routes to school and safe, healthy, and contemporary schools. And then equity, diversity, and opportunity were bilingual programs, McKinney-Vento, free school meals for all, and then student access to supports, activities, and services. So I won't read these, but the next three slides show those three priorities. Maybe I will cover just the subtitle there. Provide ample, this is the first one, provide ample, equitable, and stable funding and support for high quality basic education and special education programs and services. I wanted to let you know I left one of these at your desk, so you can actually follow along with this if you want to. The second of the three is safe, healthy, and contemporary schools. Support safe, healthy, and contemporary schools and safe routes to school to ensure students experience physical, social, and emotional safety. And then the third of three primary priorities is to ensure equitable opportunities for access by students to a wide range of support programs and services delivered by a diverse and highly trained staff. I will tell you that it took a lot of work to get it to this, and I worked closely with Director Herman and the legislative representative for the board and the cabinet on this. So with that, I would like to actually direct your attention to the question, what changes would you like to propose? Or alternately, if you are, again, comfortable with what you have there, then we can ask for your approval tonight.
Directors, we have a question.
I have some questions and some comments. So it is a lot to coalesce and bring to one page and okay, so a couple questions. First of all, on the very first bullet, it talks about funding for MSOC. And then it says program supporting basic education. So help me understand, I thought that actually was the McCleary decision that they actually did fund MSOC. It's just that the formula is not modernized, it's a dated formula. So am I missing that, or what are we looking for in that particular bullet?
You know, what I would say is I would go back to the WASDA priority and the way that they described it, because each one of these sub-bullets here, like there are 5 up there, each one of those is can be traced back to a proposed priority from WASDA. So that's what I would suggest, is looking at that. But I can tell you that the state's definition of fully supporting basic education and our own experience with that are different.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm, I mean, I don't know how I'd explain that to a legislator if they said, well, what do you mean by that?
Sure, and what we plan to do, by the way, is to take each of these 3 priorities and to develop some stories and some data around them, so that you will have those and be able to read through them and understand them better prior to meeting with the legislators in Olympia. So I will ask for the assistance of others here to help provide a good explanation of that.
Yeah, please.
So the big issue is that the increase year over year in our MSOC funding and our state funding hasn't increased at the same rate as our total cost. So 3 years ago, we were actually overfunded for our insurance and our utilities based on our expenditures and what we were funded for. Now we are underfunded by $1 million in our utilities and insurance. So it's really keeping up with the cost of our inflation and our overall cost all around to support what we're actually paying within the district.
So there's no inflationary.
There is, it's
but
just.
It's not reality.
They're keeping pace with inflation.
Yeah, so it hasn't kept pace with what our current costs are.
Okay. And then on the second bullet in the middle there on funding safe, healthy, and contemporary schools, I'm assuming that's getting at construction costs, or the state. I guess that would be my next question, is what is that specifically speaking to? Because you know, the recent when I can never remember how to pronounce the name, the Wakayam or whatever school district that, I don't mean whatever, I meant that I just don't know the correct. That, you know, I learned a lot through that by the fact that, you know, just reducing the passage of bonds to 50% isn't necessarily going to support every small school district with low property values. And so they were talking about other strategies and ways that might be more equitable for the state to better support construction. And so I guess I would just be interested in a little more specificity on that bullet, because it just means that we want nice schools. And I'm not sure.
We will certainly provide you with, again, stories and data around that. I can tell you that we would be providing a perspective for you from our school district's point of view.
Okay.
When you go meet with legislators.
Right. So my
Yes.
question is, are we asking them to, create a formula that better supports construction costs? Are we
Yes.
asking them to change, the supermajority or,
Yes.
So just, I
I'm
guess
sure it's all
the
that.
talking points are going to be very helpful. And then
Yes.
lastly, there's 13 different bullets here, and at least 11 of them are asking for funding, when you just in fact said there's probably not going to be a lot of movement on funding. And so to me, under each one of these items, listing them in priority would also I think be helpful, because they're going to read the first one, and then at some point they're going to get lost in being asked to fund everything. And so I would love to see, and I don't know if it's possible, because the impacts, I mean, my question is, what on this page are the greatest impacts to our students? And could we find some way to put those at the top? And maybe that's not realistic because they all are so valuable and equal. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments? Director Herman, you look like you're going to ask a question.
Well, I've had a chance to actually be involved in this process, so I'll be very curious what the other directors, the feedback. I'm really excited to go to WASDA with this and the next few months. Whether we approve it tonight, or I'm more than happy to go with a document that says draft too, because this is good work. So first of all, thank you. I know a lot has gone into
And
this.
thank you.
One thing that was interesting too is we sort of changed the narrative on basic education. Special education continues to stick out as an area across the board, and yet what the message we've been giving is special education is a part of basic education. So we're sort of starting to feather that narrative in a little bit more here. We've talked before about the use of this document, and also the need to track the bills as they come and match them with this. And then also, when we do meet with legislators, that window is so narrow that it's probably going to be taking a few of these that we have the best data for and the best stories, and then really focusing in on that. And the other point I just wanted to make is a heads up really for the students, both whether you have feedback tonight or later on, or when we do go to Olympia, legislators really did want to hear from students. So if there are any of these that you're already thinking you have stories of, you have ways that it's impacted your education, that I'll be really curious to hear back from you on eventually when you're ready. That's it.
I wanted to also make one comment. You mentioned that there's a possibility of having supplemental budgets. And the supplemental budgets you mentioned as operating, capital, and transportation. If that's what we can see out of this short session, that the possibilities are in that particular category, how can we frame what our priorities are around that opportunity? So if there are areas in which we have a greater need of transportation costs, I know we get our transportation funding the latter year, the next year for this current year. What can we do to portray the need in that area? If there are capital funds and things like that, how can we frame our priorities based on the areas that we know they can actually make a change in a supplemental budget? And then if it's all operational, put it specifically, say that this is our operating, this is how you can help us during the supplemental budget period. And perhaps, we can add to that in the long run we would like to see. for next year. But right now in the supplemental budget, here's how we can frame our greatest needs. I'm just wondering. It's a wonder. I don't know. Is that a
I'm not sure
possibility?
either.
One thing I would say is, again, I've heard anecdotally that there's not going to be, that we shouldn't expect a lot of new money being put into the budget this year. I think that what we're saying here is that we are continuing to advocate for funding in these areas that are so important. But we're also asking for support in those areas. So in other words, not just funding, but support. And so as we go through the session, we'll be tracking bills and the implications of proposed legislation on how we do our business as well.
Okay.
Because especially I think of all the conversations I've heard and been involved in around special education over
Yeah.
the years and the rules that,
Yeah.
and everything you have to do to qualify for the funding, they could simplify that and
I
make it more
gotcha.
equitable. And now
I got
that may not require a lot more money, just simplify process and clarify it. So that's what we're asking for, support and funding.
As well as the support. We can capitalize on that, you know, wherever we can get additional support.
Right.
Making life easier, you know, that would be great.
And another example of that would be a lower threshold for approval of capital bonds. I mean, that would not require funding. I know it's a big goal and it's a long-term goal. We just have to keep it on the table.
The one thing about that, with lowering the threshold, even if we can lower the threshold, and we've seen it in our district, to 55%, but yet there are still those representatives who feel that if they can't get it all, they're not going to get any of it. And so for districts our size and others who have been able to reach 57%, 50, you know, but they can't get that 60%. Even if we can go to 55%, it surely would be a benefit for several districts.
More thoughts?
My question to you as a legislative rep, do you foresee the need to go ahead and approve it today? And then we can say it's draft 1 or 2 or whatever, and then we can be prepared? Or would you want to hold it for further input as legislative rep? You know, you've been very much involved.
And I truly am fine either way. I would like to bring this to WASDA and show it to other districts. If it has draft on it, that's fine. Eventually, this will go to WASDA. They are starting to collect legislative priority documents. Ideally, I would like to approve it tonight, just because that sort of gets us going, but I am absolutely okay either way.
Directors, comments?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
It is a lot wordier than we've ever really had before. And so it is to what I've heard tonight is if there is a way to prioritize or in bullet form order or bold some words, because if it is a leave behind, what do we want them to remember out of all of these words? Versus any story we tell, that I do appreciate it when the students tell the story. And so it is just sort of that what is the leave, what really is, what do we want to leave behind? And great work, but just a lot more words than we've ever had. So what are the key things? What are the priorities?
Dr. Mason, Director Revelinsky, student reps.
I guess I would concur with Director Mitchell that, I mean, I'm kind of torn on this because I think adding levels of specificity may not really improve the document, not that it needs improving. I think there's been so much thought put into it that I'm happy to approve it tonight and certainly spend a little bit of time learning about this. I think it is, well, I like simplicity and as Director Mitchell said, leaving it behind, if it's on their desk and they pick it up, you know, what do we really want them to know? And I think that's a little bit challenging. So.
Okay.
If we approve this document, is there other interpretive information that can be provided with it? Or are we expecting, like, this is essentially a mailer and this is it, right? Like, this is a catalog.
Director Herman, can you answer that question?
Well, and Mr. Gunn, you can chime in on this too. This does go up on our website as our priority list. This will be shared. And then what we had done last year, although it is up for other activities as well, is we would bring this with us. But it is not the only thing. So while we do leave it behind in email correspondence, we would put more narrative with it, more story with it, and then attach it as well, sort of as proof, because it is a board approved, recognized statement. Does that answer your question?
Okay, with that being said, a motion to approve this is in order. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Director Mitchell and then by Director Herman to approve. Any further discussion necessary? Hearing none, let's proceed to the vote. All those in favor? Oh, wait, we've got to get an advisory vote from our students. Students, how say you individually? You have to speak.
Yeah, what do we say?
You approve, you say to go ahead and approve it?
Yeah, I think we should approve.
Okay. You would say to
Yeah,
go ahead
just-
and approve it?
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Miss Mitchell about like shortening it a little more like last year, just getting to the point of what everything is.
Specifying the priorities in bold or something like that?
Yes.
Can that be done, Director Herman?
Well, I wonder if what I heard is, sorry to interrupt you, that there is an opportunity to take nuggets out of this in communication. So that this is everything, but what do we want to message that could be smaller? And so that maybe there could be, I'm just imagining, you know, even a postcard that could be attached, that could be like, Student Representative Gilbertson, what is her priority off of this that she wants to communicate to, or King, Representative King, that what would be there, and it could be another, whatever this is called, you know, like a leave behind.
Focus.
Yeah,
A
but it could be
priority.
a more focused asset or something.
Well, let me suggest something. When I looked at this, when you look at this flyer, I don't know, I call it a subtitle. The area that's in gray underneath these three topics, that's what I had expected would be kind of the main message. The bullets underneath are examples.
Yeah.
They're the stories.
Okay.
They're how you can dig down. And my experience is that when you meet with legislators, each board member may have a different story that they want to relate. They may not be the same story for all the board members. So we're going to provide, so I'm going to go back to, for example, this one right here. So if you're going to do just a postcard, kind of something you leave behind, all you would have on it would be these two lines right here, this one sentence: ensure equitable opportunities for access to highly trained staff, leaving off the bullets.
So I think this
So
creates.
the bullets are the stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bullets are the individual priorities, each with a paragraph provided by WASDA that goes into some of the nuance of each of those. And so the subtitle there, under equity, diversity, and opportunity, is that one sentence. So my thought is that you would just take those three sentences, the one for each of the three priorities, and that would be your short story postcard leave behind.
Nice, it's a nice thing, but we've sort of gotten out of the Robert's Rules of Order of discussion.
We still have, we're still in discussion. So
Discussion, thank you.
all those in favor of the motion to approve, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed say no. Very well. The motion has been unanimously approved, and it is approved.
Thank you so much.
I confused myself.
Thank you. Lots of good work and lots of
Thank you,
great
Jen.
discussion. Thank you. And I'm glad we got our student reps advisory vote in. Thank you. We'll now move to section 16.0, which is upcoming agenda items. Dr. Saltzman, what is being planned for our upcoming agenda?
Yes, just a point of privilege before I enter in that discussion. I just would like to just say, first of all, the presentations tonight were outstanding, led by Brian Beckley, Anthony Anderson, and Mr. Mike Gunn. And to our students tonight, I want to publicly say your input was tremendous. Just to know about the windows of heat in a new school and to hear about artificial intelligence makes me have great notes when I bring back to my executive cabinet on Monday. So thank you so much for that input. At the November 16th special meeting, board members will attend the Washington State School Directors Association Annual Conference, known as WASDA, in Bellevue, Washington. Our regular meeting on November 28th. At the regular meeting, the board agenda will contain the following: a recognition for board service, a recognition for the WAEA annual award winners, Fine Arts Spotlight, the fourth quarter financial report, September and October financial report, the Perkins Grant and Career Technical Education Program evaluation, the OSPI Equity and Dual Credit Grant, the PSTAA Interlocal Agreement, and legislative priorities. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saltzman. We'll now move to section 17.0. We do have a closed session planned for this evening to discuss collective bargaining session with employee organizations and contract negotiations. With that being said, as the closed session, we can now move to section 18.0, which is adjournment. This then concludes the business scheduled to come before the Board of Directors during this meeting. This meeting is adjourned.